Where's that waffle gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. If you want to skip that initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, but if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. A huge thank you to each and every one of you for being here today, for taking the time out of your days to be here to watch these videos and interact with me. It really does mean the world to me. And with that being said, let's get on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Our first story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for taking the attention away from the bride at the wedding and making it about me? Please excuse any errors. I, 28 female, am currently 6 months pregnant and am engaged to a wonderful man. Due to the craziness, only limited people know about our news because we aren't the announcing type. Also, it was a quick engagement because of the pregnancy, but we love each other, and we didn't want to showcase all that. I also have an 11-year-old with my ex who I was married to for 9 years, but he ended up cheating on me with Anna, his friend slash co-worker. He had his wedding with Anna this weekend. I was invited because of a complicated custody arrangement that I don't want to get into because his mum wanted the mother of her grandchild at the wedding too, since I'm technically still family, proxy my son. The thing is, no one from that side knew I'm pregnant. I didn't tell my ex because of personal reasons. Also, my fiance is quite an influential man, where I'm from, and is well known. My ex knows I was dating someone since I was allowed a +1 for the wedding, but he doesn't know who. This plays into the wedding. I didn't really think much of it as they kept it a small event. I really didn't want to go, but did for the sake of my son, since I can't let him go alone. We all showed up and naturally people gravitated towards my fiance, asking him what he was doing here and then learning about the pregnancy and engagement. They were fascinated. It was all quite annoying and I played the pregnant lady card quite a few times so I could get some peace at an event that I didn't even want to be at. They got married and it was over. We went home, no fuss. The next day, my ex calls me, never does this, lol, and starts ranting to me about how I ruined the wedding for his wife and him. First, I bring in a man that's clearly trying to one-up him, and my ex argued that my son likes my fiance better, as my son didn't leave our side for a second during the wedding, and my ex was angered that we played happy family in front of him when he was the one getting married. Second, my fiance is not only my date, but also the guy I'm marrying and I'm engaged to, and everyone got to know about it on their day, taking away all the excitement from the wedding. At that point, I said I was sorry for and agreed that I'd probably distract from the wedding. However, I didn't know what I should have done. It's not like I could make everything disappear for the night. I'm not comfortable with announcements on social media and would have done it for my ex. My ex brought my son into this and asked him to tell me to apologise to his wife for making their whole wedding about me. My son disagrees and says I did nothing wrong, but he's 11. So Reddit, was I the arsehole? From the sounds of this story, you didn't go in there purposely trying to one-up him anyway, and even if you did, you know what, he cheated on you. And then in the end, when he's dragging your son into it too, never drag children into it really pisses me off when they do that. It really winds me up. And in the end, you know, he screwed everything over to begin with, and he just sounds bitter that you found the new life and, you know, you are a happy family. What does he want you to do? Just go and stand there and be miserable? Your whole family just stand there being miserable? It just makes no sense. So you're definitely not the arsehole in this situation. He is. But let's go to the comments below to see what they say. OSTED95 says, did you shout I'm pregnant from a megaphone? Did he tell you not to bring your fiance? Did you call the people around you? No, no and no? Then not the arsehole. Pog the Druid says, not the arsehole. He most likely wanted you to be the miserable ex at his wedding to his new wife, and you didn't play the part because you're not. You did an amazing job of being there for your son so he could see his dad getting married. You didn't fight that, and you did great. Also, record what negative things your ex tries to say to your kid for legal reasons in case you ever need it. Stay safe. Rinda C10 says, not the arsehole. The fact your ex dragged your son into it is shameful. Shake my head. Now, what do you guys think of this story? What would you have done in that situation? I don't think it's all that bad that she did one-up him in the end, to be quite honest. Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 1. And our next story is from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for taking pictures of my late husband's kids without asking their mum? My husband passed away 4 years ago. Still, our home is just as much as his kids, 15 and 17, as it is ours. They still have the keys to the house, their own bedrooms, and spend a ton of time over. As they've gotten older and started driving themselves, the communication with their mum has dwindled a bit. I've invited her over, but she said we weren't close before he passed and will not be close now. Blunt but honest, and I respect it. I adore these kids. I've known them since they were 1 and 3 years old. They're family. We hadn't had family photos done since before my husband got sick, so when I was ready to get new ones done, it seemed obvious that they would be in them. Their mum dropped off the youngest a bit before then, and I mentioned I was getting them. I didn't mention specifically that both my kids and her kid would be in them, because I assumed she would assume so. We get the photos done. I asked the photographer to get some shots of just my bonus kids for their mum. We get the photos back and I get prints for her. I texted asking if she'd like me to drop them off while I was out, or if it'd be better to send them home with the kids. She didn't respond until the next day and tells me I need to learn boundaries. We talked a bit. It wasn't a fight necessarily, but she said it made her uncomfortable. She said I wouldn't get professional photos of any of my kids' other friends without asking, and that it was weird. I was thrown off because although our kids don't share DNA, they've always called each other brothers. They've been together since they were in diapers. She said she loves that I love them like my own, but they aren't my own, and I overstepped. I feel like I shouldn't have had to ask. These weren't my boyfriend's kids I saw every other weekend. These are kids that were at our house just as much as their own. If my husband was alive, there would be no question that they'd be in the pictures. If they were family then, why not now? I do want to say, her and I have never had issues. She isn't just a bitter ex. I think she genuinely is uncomfortable with me not asking. I also think it's a little ridiculous. Am I the arsehole here? No, and I don't know what suddenly clicked in her head from what was going on before when the husband was alive. I know. You don't suddenly not become a part of these children's lives just because the husband, has passed away. You're as much as family to them as you was before. It really doesn't make much sense, and I really don't know what the issue could be here. Let's have a look at the comments below to see if we can get any clues. Nut Michelle says, not the arsehole, this is absurd. Your husband's death didn't automatically take away your title of stepmother and erase your relationship with these kids. Never Seek to Tell says, not the arsehole. I think if they were slightly younger, it might have been polite just to let her know, since she is their guardian, it sounds like. However, 15 and 17 is more than old enough to know whether you want to be in pictures or not. You weren't overstepping her boundaries, she is overstepping her kids' boundaries by trying to dictate who they can and cannot take pictures with. I think this might be just one of those things where in her eyes, they're little babies that need to be protected. Don't worry about it, you've done nothing wrong. If you want to, I suppose, you could always let her know that they were happy to be in the pictures, and you would never have wanted to hurt them by leaving them out, so you thought it should go without saying that they would be in them. That might calm the mama bear instinct a little bit. And Public Domain Kitten says, not the arsehole, they probably miss their dad a lot. Keep being a great person with all the kids. Prairie Dog Stromboli says, not the arsehole, this has nothing to do with pictures or boundaries. This has to do with their insecurity. There's another person they love like a mother because she was their second mother for over a decade. She wants there to be one and only. That's understandable, but she can't control who her kids love. Next time, ask the kids if they're okay with pictures and don't offer the mum anything. In a couple of years, she has no say about it anyway. Now, what do you guys think of this situation? What do you think suddenly clicked after the father passed away, the husband passed away, that the mum of these kids is suddenly getting upset about? What changed in her mind? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 2. And our next story is from, hi, I'm Dad. Am I the arsehole for helping my son buy a house? Before you all jump on the bandwagon and kill me, let me explain. I have a son and a daughter. I made a pact that would help both of them with a down payment for their house after marriage. My daughter married a high earner, whereas my son married a single mum with 2 kids. Both my daughter and SIL work, so I figured they can manage easily to pay for their house. My son on the other hand is a sole earner and earns pretty mediocre. And helping him alone with a down payment seemed correct, so I did just that. Upon hearing what I did, my daughter threw a hissy fit and demanded that I help her as well. I sat her down and explained her brother's situation and how he is struggling as a sole earner of the house. My daughter doesn't have any kids, but my son has 2, so more reasoning went into this. My SIL called up and said what I did was correct given the current circumstances, but my daughter won't leave this alone. She thinks I'm an arsehole for doing this to her. Now, a pretty quick story there, but this is one of those ones that we've seen time and time again, really. And you know, usually we would say no one's entitled to money, you can give the money to who you want, it's your money in the end and you are entitled to it. But the fact that makes you the arsehole is that you made a pact. You made that. You made that promise to them that you would pay them both. And at some stage in the future, you must have realized that both these kids are going to have different life situations. One is always going to be above the other. It's very unlikely that both of them are going to be equal pay, equal everything, right? So, of course life's going to change. But that is just my opinion on the matter. Let's have a look at the comments below to see what they say. Awesome Drawn Monster says, of course you're the arsehole. If you didn't have stipulations attached to the original offer, then your daughter has every right to feel angry and let down. You promised to help them both regardless of their situation, just that they had to be married. Have you always played favourites with your son? How do you think your daughter feels being punished for being responsible, just because they earn a lot of money and haven't actively put themselves in a financially shaky situation? Doesn't mean you should rescind your offer to your daughter. Maybe there are important things your daughter and SAL are putting off because they are actually managing their money, and you keeping your word could help with that. I feel bad for your daughter. She must feel so betrayed and less worthy for you to basically lie to her and to not feel any remorse for breaking your word to her. Nakala says, I hate to say you're the arsehole, but you promised, and you are punishing someone who did well with their life. This is yet another version of a parent who helps the one who struggles yet ignores the one who does well for themselves. Example, struggling one gets more in the will. I don't agree. One day struggling son may need help again, and your successful daughter may be in a position to help financially, but she may not because of your actions. But you have created animosity and hurt and favouritism. And Nanny Live says you're the arsehole for making a pact to do the same for both without having the imagination to consider the totally foreseeable idea that they might have very different circumstances when the time came. And that's exactly the way I felt. It's like, yeah, of course they're going to have different futures. One is always going to be above the other, and it's very unlikely that they're going to be even all the way through the rest of their lives, right? So what would you do in this situation? What would you do if you was the daughter and that happened to you? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 3. And our next story is from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for refusing to babysit anymore for my cousin after she was making sexist remarks? I, 19 female, babysit once in a while for my cousin, 32 female, and watch her son, 10 male, when she's busy and can't afford a babysitter. I live at my university's dorms, which is about half an hour away, and come home every week or so to visit my family and help out. This was my 4th time babysitting for my cousin, and a few days ago I was watching him. Usually it's 7 or so hours each time, as she is away at work, so I only babysit depending on if her own family can't watch her son. Our activities during the time I'm watching him is we will watch some children's shows or movies, play some board games, or have a snack or meal. But when she came back and I was packing my things to go, he was asking me when we get to watch Cinderella or Aladdin, as I promised him we would have to be another time since we didn't have enough time to squeeze in the whole thing. My cousin flipped out when she learned of this and said I shouldn't have been letting him watch Disney princess movies and that he needs to be watching proper children's shows and movies. When I first started babysitting for her, I let him pick whatever children-friendly shows or movies on Disney he wanted to watch. She said that I should have checked with her, which I did at the beginning, and she said anything for kids on Disney is fine to watch and did not mention anything about the Disney princess movies. So I didn't see an issue with it since it was a kids-friendly audience. Her reasoning was that he'd be influenced or persuaded by those movies, and that boys his age shouldn't be watching movies about Disney princesses, and should be doing normal things like playing with cars and such. I'm one who is all for doing what makes you happy, and since he never saw these movies, he seemed happy and interested while watching as he wanted to watch more about them. I said I would no longer be helping her out with babysitting for free, since she was saying things like that just because he's a boy, that he can't do whatever makes him happy because it's not right. Her mother, my aunt, says it doesn't really matter what we watch as long as her grandson is happy and it's for his viewing age. But she says I should just stick to my cousin's Disney princess movie ban because her daughter can't afford a babysitter as she is a single mother and he is in online school full time, so he's always at home. So she says I'm being a light jerk because her daughter is struggling and needs help. So am I the arsehole for not wanting to babysit for my cousin anymore after she made sexist remarks about how boys shouldn't be watching or doing feminine things? Edit, for those asking, I do plan to keep in touch with her son if he ever needs support or someone to go to for advice. I didn't want to babysit anymore because of her sexist and homophobic views and a lot of other controversial beliefs she has, which I don't support. For clarification in the comments, she was upset at me because of that, and while talking with her about it, I'm not one to force someone to change their beliefs. She has her own, and while I don't agree with it, I try my best to help her before. Hell no, you can't be the arsehole. If you don't agree with someone's beliefs, you don't want to be in their house and you don't want to be around them either. She's trying to force you to abide to like sexist rules and apply them to her son, which is absolutely ridiculous. I hate this whole bullshit in life that boys must play with cars, girls must play with dolls, and the whole colour thing and blue and pink and all this sort of stuff. It's just absolutely crazy, and someone with that mindset needs to be checked out. But let's have a look at the comments below to see what they say. Moghetti says, not the arsehole. You could respond with, I'm happy to babysit for you, but I'm not going to abide to your rules about TV shows, so it's your choice whether you want me to babysit. Public Domain Kitten says, not the arsehole. You're not doing anything wrong and you're not obligated to babysit, much less for free. From what you've detailed, your cousin not only sounds sexist but homophobic. Please keep in touch with this child, as he probably need more positive influences in his life. OP replied saying, unfortunately, I hate to admit it, but I wasn't sure if the post would have censored it. But she is a very traditional person. She doesn't support the LGBTQ+, thinks the whole pandemic thing will blow over, that Black Lives Matter is just part of All Lives Matter, etc. All of which I disagree, but she came to me needing help, and I helped to the best of my ability. When I say she is a single mother, it's just that she is raising her kids on her own, but the father is within the city. She just never took him to court for child support, so I do agree that he should have more positive influences in his life, but I will definitely be keeping in touch with my younger cousin. And Mel says, not the arsehole at all. At that young age, children are still learning about themselves. It's not helping him if your cousin is not letting him be himself. He's not doing anything that's hurting him, and if he's happy and likes it, isn't that all that matters? Since your cousin is so sexist and homophobic, it sounds like she won't have a problem in the future if her son cuts her off because of that. She's a traditional single mother, but is against the LGBT+. What is she going to do if her son decides he doesn't like her views? Now, what do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 4. And our next story is from a throwaway account. Would I be the arsehole if I don't buy more candy to replace the one piece of my kids' candy that I ate? I called my daughter selfish and got into an argument with my wife today because she wanted me to buy a replacement bag of candy to replace the one piece of candy that I ate. Yesterday was the first time I was able to go trick-or-treating with my son, 4, and 2 daughters, 6 and 6. I wanted my wife to have some time to herself, so I told her she could stay at home and just pass out candy. But the kids and I wound up walking so far that when the bags were full, they didn't want to walk back, and I had to call my wife to come pick us up. Lol. It was a great night though, and I was glad I could share that moment with them. Today though, I take it back. I came home and took one piece of candy, Reese's Pieces, from a bag at random. I didn't know they had counted it while I was at work, and even so, I didn't think it'd be a problem. I was talking to my wife when my daughter comes in and asks if anyone ate her candy. I said, me sweetie, I just ate one, and she starts crying. Then my wife was like, why did you eat her candy? And I'm like, it was only one piece. Then I said, look, I'll just take one piece from each of them so it's even. So I went and asked my son and my other daughter for a piece of candy, and they were chill about it. But my daughter was still crying because she had 10 Reese's Pieces left, and now she only had 9. My wife hugged her and said I had to buy her another one. I said, what? No. I told my daughter, you're selfish, and my wife said, don't call her that. I told my wife, no, she is selfish and you're spoiling her and making it worse. She has tons of other candy in her bag. I was out there trick-or-treating and walking with them for hours, and I can't even eat one piece of candy. I was actually thinking about just going and buying more candy to keep the peace, but then I'm like, no, she needs to deal with it. It's one piece of candy in a bag full of candy. So I don't know, would I be the arsehole if I don't buy more? All I know is that I'm never going trick-or-treating again. Next time, I'll just take the other 2. At first I was reading through this and I thought, nah, he's not going to be the arsehole, you know, kids need to learn to share, but then it suddenly clicked in my head, you know, he didn't ask. This kid is 6. Of course they're going to throw a tantrum that you took their candy. You stole their candy. I'd be pissed off too if you just dipped your hand into my bag and took candy without asking. After she took all that time counting it too. How dare you? And whilst I'm just messing about here, the last line really got to me and I thought, what an ass. Where it says, all I know is that I'm never taking her trick-or-treating again. Next time, I'll just take the other 2. The fact that you're so wound up by a 6-year-old throwing a fit that you will never take her trick-or-treating again. You will never take your own child trick-or-treating again because of this. Man, grow up. Anxious Riddle says you're the arsehole. 1, you called your daughter a selfish brat because she was upset that you ate candy she worked for. 2, you're taking parent tax, literally, and thinking that a grown man as you're entitled to a child's candy because you did the parent thing and walked them around for it. 3, You're throwing in your wife's face that you walked your kids when you offered to do it in the first place. You don't get to use you being a parent as a weapon against why you deserve something. 4. You didn't ask her, but you asked your other kids, and now you're not taking her trick-or-treating again because she is upset you stole from her. That said, I don't think you need to buy a replacement bag of candy, but I definitely think you need to apologise for acting like a tantrum screaming child because you unintentionally upset your daughter and didn't want to give a fuck about her feelings on the subject. We can't always help hurting someone's feelings, but we can choose not to invalidate them. You invalidated your kids and undermined your wife's parenting. Tamika Olivia says you're the arsehole. Not for taking the candy, that's whatever, but for the way you're handling this. Your seething resentment and plan to never take or trick-or-treating again for acting like a 6-year-old is immature and unworthy of an adult or parent. Narcissa says, you're the arsehole. You know why your other kids didn't mind giving you some candy? Because you asked instead of taking. Taydol Wave says you're the arsehole. You took candy that wasn't yours without asking. It was their candy and they counted it. And your reaction to being told, hey, that was wrong, was to tell the other person they were selfish. What stuck out to me was, I didn't realise they had counted it. This is why you ask for a piece of candy before you take. Sounds like the other kids would have been fine, just giving you some. Also, why would it help to take candy for all of them to make it even? Why would that make it better that you took candy? Just say, I'm sorry, I didn't realise it meant so much to you. I will ask before I take candy, and then don't get into it again. Now, what do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 5. Once again guys, thank you for being here today, and I hope you did enjoy today's stories, and if you did, you know what to do. Hit that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, Waffle Gang. And I will see you in the next one. Take care guys, much love.